Well, sometimes a video just falls on your lap, and this is one such occasion. David Moyes has done an interview in The Athletic, for The Athletic, which, as I'm sure some of you know, it's a subscription online newspaper, basically. However, as with a lot of these subscriptions, people have picked apart at certain parts of it, and a lot of the interview has been published. I must confess that I am only using second-hand information because I do not have an Athletic subscription. However, just in the little bits that I have seen banded around, there's quite an interesting video, and so I just thought we'd just sort of, not video, an article, should I say, so just thought we'd just talk through it. Just in case you're wondering about the lovely t-shirt, this is available from hammerschatstore.com. There we go. Anyway, but you know this. I might have the wrong glasses on. We'll have a little look. Okay, so first thing, first part of the interview, or at least one of the parts of the interview, is David Moyes says he understands what it's going to require to get Declan Rice to stay. Now, I really appreciate hearing this, because I think sometimes when he's asked some of the tough questions, he gives cliched answers, and I understand that. Now, I don't know why he might have opened up more to The Athletic. Maybe it was the journalist he's got a better relationship with. I don't know. I think there's certain things he gives a cliched answer to, or answers that are changeable. Why do you not bring a striker in? The squad depth. Have you got any money? Not you personally. It's not like no one's mugging him, or you got any money? Are you being given any money by the board? And the Declan one is certainly one of those questions which I don't feel he answers adequately, because of course the question really is, and the question I would always like to ask him is, basically, if you don't match his ambitions, he's going to leave. Basically, you have a project, Moisey, old son, or David, or Gaffer, or whatever you would call him, and your project might be 4 or 5 years. I think Declan's working on a shorter time frame than that. He can't wait 4 or 5 years for West Ham to get better. So what are you going to do to keep him? That would be my question. He sort of answered that here. I'll just tell you what he said. Oh, there you go. The interview was with Alan Shearer. There we go. So clearly he did open up to him a little bit more. He's basically said we probably do need to win things to keep hold of Declan Rice. He said we've got to keep driving on. I have to keep driving and demanding that we'll keep moving on and be positive in our outlook of where we're going to be. I mean, crikey, that is a garbled load of old nonsense, isn't it? I mean, we've got to keep moving on and being positive in our outlook of where we're going to be. That's basically ambition that would sum that up. I need to keep adding good players, which is part of the club's responsibility to keep with it. That's telling. I love these little snippets, these little insights you get. I need to keep adding good players. I want good players. I'm just translating this, which is part of the club's responsibility to keep with it. I want good players. You get me those good players. It's your responsibility. Saying to the club, he's throwing that back at the club. Give me those good players. When you're hearing him say that, is then the suggestion that maybe the club haven't given him good players up to now, or whatever, or maybe they've let him down when he's tried to bid for some of these players. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into that, but why not? He said, but the good thing is we've got him for another 3.5 years on his contract until June 2024 with an option for additional year. So we're under no pressure from that. We would love him to stay. He's so important to us, but like everything else, we have to show that we can do it as well at West Ham. He means you have to show it that West Ham can do it as well as anybody else. He's basically saying that. Well, there you go. I mean, it can't be any clearer. To keep Declan Rice, we need to win things. I need to bring in good players. Board, you better give me those good players. There you go. Hear that? That is not a helicopter. That's next door's lawnmower. But it is that time of year, isn't it? Sunny. Very nice. Been to watch my son play football this morning. He scored the equaliser in a thrilling 1-1. He plays under 14s now, isn't it? It was a feisty game. It was a feisty game. His team played very, very well. His team played the team the same age from the same club, but they were the higher team, if you know what I mean. So I think my son plays in basically of his age group. My son plays in the B team. I think this was the A team, something like that. Anyway, they got a 1-1 draw, and the boy scored the equaliser. So which did well. Bearing in mind we didn't get back from Royal Albert Hall last night. Great. Thanks again, Mike. What a great gig that was. His first ever gig at the Who at the Royal Albert Hall. Trains got cancelled to Richmond. We got back until about 20 to 1, something like that. So, yeah, he did well. He got better as the game went on, put it that way. Another thing that Moyes mentioned in this interview was that before he started his second stint with West Ham, he was offered the job, or he became very close to getting the Everton job. Now, I remember this time, and I'm sort of quite pleased he's confirmed this now, because this is how I remember it happening. Now, nobody ever really says anything officially. He was getting that job. David Moyes was getting that job. He'd been in, he'd had talks, and then what happened was Carlo Ancelotti basically became available, and Everton gave him the job. Now, what David Moyes must have thought of that, I don't know, because apparently he was quite far down the line. And obviously Ancelotti went there, had a good season. Dad was been their best manager in the last few seasons, certainly. And obviously then what happened was Real Madrid flashed their knickers at Carlo Ancelotti, and he said, oh, hello, yeah, I'll have a bit of that, please, thank you very much. He went, left Everton. So I'm pretty sure that it would have been better for Everton in the long run if they'd have got David Moyes. Well, it's clear. Look at the two different states that the various clubs are in. You know, and we've got the stability, and that's one thing that you certainly can't feel that Everton have got there. In fact, from one mess to another, and they can't. They've sacked Benitez this season. Lampard's gone. He's not done well. No massive fan of Frank Lampard, it has to be said, but they can't sack him. They can't keep sacking managers. I think it sort of worked out quite well for him. He said moving to West Ham has been a great move for me. I'm really enjoying it. Great group of players, really good club with huge potential. Yeah, I think we have got huge potential. That being said, I think Everton have got huge potential as well. But he said, I'm so glad I was given a second chance at West Ham, because the first time I was here, they didn't keep me. I like that. There's no garnish on that last statement. Last time I was here, they didn't keep me. Given a second chance. I mean, it makes it sound a little bit crap, really, doesn't it? But as I've always said, fair play to him for swallowing his pride and coming back, because I think if it had been me and I'd have been given a task with a job of saying, excuse me, we'll put you on a contract from now to the rest of the season, can you keep this club up, please? If I'd have done that and they turned around and said, actually, we don't want you anymore, we're going to go with this Pellegrini chap, when the club was later on really struggling, and they turned around to me and said, oh, excuse me, would you mind coming back? We might have got it wrong before. I would have said, I know what I'm like. I say, no, you can do one. Thank you very much. So, fair play for David Moyes for being a better man than I clearly am. And anyway, just found it funny. One, the other thing he was talking about was Souček and Coufal. I think this is really interesting. He credits a lot of the club's growth and improvement and puts it down to them. And I don't think it's all them. He said, I think there's a much better mentality around West Ham now. And I've got to say, it's been driven on by the two Czech boys, Souček and Coufal, who have been sensational for that. Honestly, we had to lock the gates to keep them out of the place at night. He's basically saying, training's over, you've got to go, you need to go. They kept on turning up to extra training. He said that meant that even the boys who think they're good pros had to step up again. They were even leading the recovery sessions, jogging maybe half a dozen laps and taking the ball with them. Clearly, there's a work ethic there. I mean, and that's really interesting. So the players that think they're good pros and think they're training a lot, not shamed would be the wrong word to use. I'll use it anyway. They were shamed into thinking, crikey, I thought we worked hard, but look at this lot. Look at this couple of fellas here. All right, okay. Better go and do an extra couple of laps. It's the equivalent of I guess of working in a shop, and when it's home time, is there somebody staying over and saying, you know what, before I go home, I'm going to sweep the floor. I'm going to make sure everything's all locked up and all nicely. So when we get done tomorrow morning, you think, oh, it's 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock. We go now. No. I'm just going to sort things out. That's the equivalent of them, really. So everyone's thinking, oh God, better join in, really, hadn't I? He said that was their mentality, and we've demanded that. Declan Rice takes the standard up again, trying to get the standard of training up every day. This speaks volumes. It's one sentence. It speaks absolute volumes. I know I use the I know I use the example of Roy Keane quite a lot, but he really stood out for me as a player that demanded more from those around him. Or you could actually see him on a pitch shouting at all his teammates, jabbing his finger into Gary Neville's chest, telling him to do more. He would not accept, and you heard this, you saw it on the pitch, so you knew when you heard the story that he wouldn't accept anyone dropping their standards in training and stuff like that. It was quite evident that would be the case, and there's a lot of these players, and some of them, not a popular player at West Ham, let's be fair, Roy Keane. I always use another example as Tony Adams. I always remember seeing Tony Adams, and just the standard that he demanded from those around him was absolutely huge. There's lots of these players, and there's even another couple I won't mention because it's not very West Ham like to admire them, but there is an admiration certainly for anyone who works like that. And when you hear that this is what Declan Rice demanded from those around him, trying to take the standard up and leading. I think that's really good. I think it bodes really, really well. It says it goes on to say, finish up by saying, if you're training with Harry Maguire and Harry Kane, anyone called Harry, or even Harryola, and the top players with England, not Harryola, you have to see those levels and bring it back to our place and show us what the standards they need to reach. He's saying Declan goes away with England, comes back and says, this is what we need to be doing here. Look, you can put a price on a player sometimes, but if they're bringing all these other sort of untangible things to the club, then you really do realise you've got a special player there. What would I take from the interview, or at least the snippets that I've stolen, nicked, read? It is a case of he was aware of the value of Declan. He's aware of what we have to do to keep him. He's aware that the club have got to be driven forward. He's saying, "Oi, you lot, I want good players. Get me good players." I think that's pointing the finger back at the club, and it's just clear there's a mentality there. He uses the example of Souček and Soufal and about the high demand and professionalism that they impart on, and their demands on the rest of the squad. And it's something to bear in mind when you're looking at Soufal's dip in form, or it was an injury as we found out, Souček's dip in form, Soufal's injury. They're probably bringing a lot more to the club than just what they're doing on the pitch, but they are, of course, both fine players. Anyway, there you go. I do notice he said the 2 Czech boys. He didn't say the 3 Czech boys, did he? He didn't put Krau in with them. You don't have to lock the training ground to keep Krau from coming back in. I'm joking. I'm sure he's a hard worker. There you go. Maybe you've read the article yourself. Maybe you've read more than I've seen from these stolen snippets anyway. I'll catch you later. I'm about to celebrate my son's equaliser.